I think right now we have American leadership at the top, and I think this is always a good thing. America has been involved, and we have a Quad statement that actually charts the course ahead and will move us from this sort of situation that we have, the civil war that is raging in Sudan, to basically a humanitarian ceasefire, unhindered humanitarian access towards a civilian transition government.
Can I just address these continued allegations about the UAE's support for the RSF, materially, militarily, and politically, for example? These are allegations that have been refuted in the past, time and again, by the UAE. Can you be quite clear about the UAE's interests or interest in Sudan?
I think our position is very clear. I mean, unconditional ceasefire, humanitarian pause leading to a permanent ceasefire, and this should be unconditional. It should happen now. And I think humanitarian support on a massive scale to Sudan. Today we are the second largest contributor to humanitarian aid in Sudan after the United States, and we want to scale up. I think also we have clearly come and said these are two warring parties. So needless to say, one of the warring parties will take a position against what the UAE is calling for, and that is basically a transition to civilian rule. This is really the UAE position, and we've stated it once, twice, and clearly these are quite principled position, and it's difficult for one to argue with. Now, coming back to the interests of the UAE in Sudan, I think primarily I want to say that they are not economic. I mean, the whole Sudan gold, for example, which is part of the attack on the UAE, represents just 1% of UAE gold imports. I think on a geostrategic level is to see a unified Sudan that is basically a contributor to stability in the region, and that means we should not have really the past influence of the Muslim Brotherhood or other radical groups. And from that perspective, I think the geostrategic argument is extremely important for how the UAE looks at the region. We are an influential country in the region. Maybe somebody doesn't like it, but matter of fact, we are. And as a result, I think we have a regional view on what we want to see in countries around us.
I'm wondering how you restore trust and faith by the Sudanese people, or by some parts of the Sudanese community, when there is consistent allegations, continued allegations about the support that the UAE has for the MSF. And I wonder what steps have been taken to comply with the UN arms embargo on Sudan.
I think the UAE is being consistent that on arms, we have not moved any arms to the warring parties in Sudan following the beginning of the civil war. There was around 162 flights from the UAE going and moving humanitarian assistance to Sudan. Now, every flight tracker thinks that any plane going from the UAE is taking some suspicious stuff. But how do you account for these 162 flights that are taking humanitarian support? So I am not worried about the UAE and the Sudanese people. We've had and we continue to have an excellent relationship forged through a long history of constructive engagement, and with regards to the few activists that are basically turning their criticisms to the UAE, we can never win them, and I don't think I'm worried about that.
You've talked about a foolish campaign being waged against the UAE. Who are you pointing the finger at here?
Well, I think different groups. I mean, you get, for example, genuine interest, and I don't have a problem with that. An NGO that has genuine concern with regards to the humanitarian situation in Sudan. I have no problem with it. I'm willing to address these issues, constructively. I think the issue here is the UAE is criticized by Muslim Brotherhood and other factions in extremist political Islam, regardless if the file was Sudan or anything else, because we are actually presenting in the region a counter-narrative. A lot of the noise that we see today in social media, and especially in Arabic social media, is manufactured. It's driven noise. And I think when I say we become more determined, it means that this is the wrong way to deal with the UAE. If you put us under pressure, we actually get better at dealing with crises and finding more constructive ideas.
Can I get your response to Donald Trump's designation of some factions or chapters of the Muslim Brotherhood as a terror organization? And how does the US president's decision to designate some groups affiliated with the Muslim Brotherhood influence the Sudan file?
Well, I think President Trump's designation or move to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization is strategic, courageous, and historical decision, because it addresses really one of the major roots of extremism in how a militant group with a lot of its proxies and others have actually changed the narrative by using Islam as a political tool. And that will affect their ability to control mosques, it will affect their ability to finance, it will affect their ability to organize. The link between the SAF, the Sudanese army, and between Burhan and the Muslim Brotherhood is organic.
Just want to press you on this point. You see the existence of the Muslim Brotherhood in Sudan, as I understand it, as a significant security issue for Sudan and for the region, which is what the UAE's interest is here.
Definitely. We've also seen that some of the main fighting force, really, of the Sudanese armed forces in this 3-year vicious civil war have been actually Muslim Brotherhood brigade driven by Muslim Brotherhood commanders in order to reinstate themselves and go back as the government of Khartoum.